Amelia was pleasantly surprised to see Tomas outside her door, until she realized she hadn't given him her new address. "Tomas, how did you find out where I live?" Amelia hadn't seen her ever-charming blind date since the night she made dinner for him at Faith's apartment. Though he texted her a few pics and silly updates while he was away in the Philippines, they'd kept their friendship pretty casual. Tomas looked at her with his signature disarming grin. "Wasn't that hard. I wanted to surprise you. So I was about to swing by Faith's apartment to ask her where you are, but then I spotted your name on the mailbox downstairs. Call me the Spanish Sherlock Holmes." His eyes twinkled mischievously. "Hey, why did you cook me dinner at Faith's when you live a few doors down?" Amelia hesitated. She couldn't exactly say, "Oh, I was living with Prince Javier Calderon at the time." So she settled for a safer reply. "My son was home, and it was too soon to introduce you." "Ah, right. I get it," Tomas said easily, leaning slightly closer. "Is it still too soon? Or can I come inside?" "Max is at his father's," she said, finally opening the door. "You can come in." Tomas followed her inside, his sharp gaze discreetly scanning the small apartment for any signs of Javier's presence. Meanwhile, she set down her shopping bag. "Sorry if I came off defensive. I didn't know you were back in town." "I just got back in Spain yesterday," Tomas replied smoothly, kicking off his shoes. "But I wanted to see you, so I hopped on the jet." Amelia smiled, a bit flustered, and unsure what to do with Tomas's sudden appearance. The last time she saw Tomas, Javier urged her to stay away from him. His exact reasoning was, "Because I don't like it." But Amelia was fond of Tomas and wasn't going to cut someone out of her life just because Javier was a bit possessive. She wasn't exactly his to possess anyway. On the other hand, Tomas was lighthearted and uncomplicated, and he never hesitated to express his feelings for Amelia. An entirely different kind of charm. "I'll be right back," she said, retreating toward the bathroom. "Make yourself at home." His voice followed her as she closed the bathroom door. "You overestimate me, Amelia. I've had plenty of cheap food and cheap hotels. I may look and sound fancy, but I'm a tramp at heart." From behind the door, she quipped, "Don't worry, you don't sound fancy." Tomas chuckled to himself, leaning casually against the table. His eyes landed on the shopping bag Amelia left on it. A sly smile tugged at his lips. "What's in the bag? A welcome home gift for me." "A tie," Amelia replied, her mouth full of toothpaste. "For Prince Javier?" Tomas asked innocently, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Amelia froze, startled that he knew about her and Javier. A beat of silence passed before Amelia opened the door. She raised a brow at him, suspicious. That was an oddly accurate guess. Was his name on a mailbox too? Perhaps Amelia should have taken Javier's warning against Tomas more seriously. The big question was, did Tomas know about her and Javier because he was looking into her? Or was it the prince he'd been looking into? She understood very little about the intricacies of Javier's high-stakes political world. Tomas's tone turned serious, breaking her thoughts. "Amelia, do you consider me a friend?" "Of course," she replied, feeling his fondness for her was genuine, though she would soon need answers on how he knew so much about her personal life. Tomas tilted his head. "Then, as your friend, I have to tell you to stop being foolish." His words hung heavy in the air, making her heart sink. "Javier, do you really know what kind of world he comes from? How many lives he and his family have stained and stepped on to keep their power? People like Javier and my brother are not just high-ranking officials or wealthy elites. They're puppeteers, Amelia. They use everyone around them and spit them out when they have nothing left to offer. Amelia was at a loss for words, trying to make sense of why Tomas would show up unannounced and make such a speech. You don't know Javier. He's not like that. But I know his world. And in it, marriages are used as currency to secure power above all else. When Javier marries, it won't be his choice. It won't be for love. This isn't a game you should be playing. If you stay involved with him, you'll end up hurt. Tomas reached into his coat and pulled out a red envelope. This is the draft of an engagement party invitation. Gustavo Salm sent it to my brother for approval. Amelia froze as she stared at the card. Tomas continued quieter. It's unofficial, but the fact that it even exists says enough. You understand what this means, don't you? Amelia stood paralyzed as Tomas glanced at her awkwardly. She grabbed the envelope and her hands slightly trembled as she opened it and slipped out the stationery. Her breath hitched when she saw the two names staring back at her in bold, unforgiving print. Javier and Paloma. Her vision blurred slightly and her eyes stung. Tomas added, I heard they're looking at wedding venues off the coast of Spain, which makes sense. I imagine once he's married, he'll move back to the Spanish palace. Amelia wasn't ready to process Javier moving back to Spain, let alone the engagement invite in her hands. Her silence made Tomas feel a pang of guilt. He knew he was playing his brother's game, but seeing the weight of his words affect Amelia like this made his stomach twist. He cared for her more than he realized, and hurting her, even for strategy, was far from satisfying. He cleared his throat and called out, Amelia, I'm sorry. I wish I'd come under better circumstances. I do care for you, and I hate to see you hurt. Can I make it up to you? With dinner? Amelia forced a polite reply. Not tonight. Maybe another time. Tomas replied softly. Of course. And I promise to text before showing up next time. With that, he swiftly left the apartment. Amelia stood for a long moment before she slowly closed the card. Well, maybe I can give him the tie as an engagement gift instead.
To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.